handicap bar. Got one already mounted in here, and I'm going to mount another one right over here. Make it easier to get in the bathtub. I'm just going to explain quickly how I installed this one, and then I'll install the one over here in a few minutes later. First thing I want to do is I want to find out where the studs are, because if you basically anchor this into the tile, there's a good chance if you were to fall and yank it off, it's going to pull the tile off, or at least pull weight out of the tile. So it's real important that you get at least one of the 3 screws that are on these things into the stud, and preferably at least 2 of them, if not all 3. I tried to get all 3. So to find the stud, you use one of these little magnetic stud finders. Now they work really good on drywall without the top. And typically what you do is you just slide it across until you find a nail, and it just picks it up real easy. But it's not so easy on a tile. And the studs are generally 16 inches apart. So typically if there's one here, there's another one about here, 16 inches apart. Now on the tile, what I do is I try to hold it off the tile just a hair, because it's not strong enough to hold itself up. But you can kind of feel it, and if you just hold it a little bit off, it will actually tilt and pull into the tile. See that right there? There's a stud right there. So over here, it's not doing anything. Go across, and you can find the nail. But see, it's not strong enough to hold it, but you can kind of tell where it is. So that's how I find the studs. Same thing on this one over here. You can kind of feel it, and it just... Typically there's a nail about every 7 to 12 inches along the wall going vertical. So it just kind of pulls it over, but it won't hold. The reason why I didn't run it horizontal like you normally would expect it to be, because this bar is 18 inches wide and the studs are 16 inches, which means it won't go straight. One will be in a stud and one won't be in a stud. So if you tilt it, in this case, you have to put it at an angle so that both of them are in studs. Now we're going to unpackage the new one. And cut off the strap, which has all the screws on it. Now they got these covers all the way out to the end, and you can try to twist them and they don't come off. You can take a flat screwdriver, this isn't flat but by the way, and try to pry them a little bit. That doesn't get them off, but what gets them off is just a quick tap. That's the trick to getting these things off. You don't have to spend all day prying, and just tap them right on the edge. It sticks out a little bit past and they'll come right off. So back to installing the new one, what I did was I found out where the stud was. One is here, there's actually a double stud here. And then I measured 16 inches over here. Sometimes things are different. There's water lines either coming up or coming down to this one here. So you have to be real careful you don't drill into it or want to screw into the water line and cause a leak. So anyway, right there is the stud. Okay, I went ahead and put a pencil mark. I figured about whatever the right height was, which is in this case 50 inches down from the ceiling, seemed about a good spot. Now because I got one lined up on this side and one lined up over here, I'm fortunate enough I can actually run this one horizontal, level, which is ideally and probably the best way, so that's what I'm going to do on this one here. A shower door, so I don't have to worry about that. My shower curtain is going to come around here and kind of be a little bit of a problem. I would actually rather it be a little bit further in, but there's no studs, and if I wanted to do this, I still could. I could cut a big hole on the back side of this wall and put a piece of plywood or a piece of 2x4 back there, and then I can screw into that, and then I can put it anywhere I want. But even right here, it is going to work with the shower curtain. The shower curtain is going to come around a little bit, and I think it'll be fine. Okay, so Now we're right now behind the refrigerator on the opposite wall. This is the wall that the tub is on. I want to put, this is where that stud is right here. I verified it by measuring from this corner here back. You got about 4.5 inches to 5 inches of drywall and tile and everything. So about 5 inches back, and I measured this distance, went around the inside and found out it was 8 inches from the inside wall. And that put it right about here. Took my stud finder, verified there was a stud here. Then I took a keyhole saw and cut a little hole on both sides of the stud so I could look inside. The reason I'm doing that is if I were to run a screw and hit a water line, it would be a real pain. This is an easy patch, easy to repair. It's behind the refrigerator, don't have to worry about it. I can see my stud. I can take a light and line down there and verify that there's no water line up there, and there is not. So the water line comes from another location. It's either over here, but it is not next to my stud. So I feel comfortable now. I can run my screws in there without hitting any water line. Where I want to drill the hole for this. So I'm moving my covers off. Line it up with the stud on the top one. And there's no real rhyme or reason to where I want to put this here, here. So I'm just going to take a random spot that's something that looks pretty good. High enough I can hang a towel or something on it. And I'm going to make this my first drill hole. And I get my level. My little level here. And I'm using a cement drill bit. And so I'm going to temporarily mount this. The reason I'm doing that is so I can make sure I get the other ones in the right spot and it doesn't drop or shift or whatever, and then have to fight with the holes in the wrong spot. So I'm just going to go in just enough to hold it. And double check it, see that it's still close to level, which it is, right on. Now I'm going to mark my other holes. I got one right below this one, in the center of the stud. Same thing here, in the center of the stud. And I'm going to go ahead and drill that one. A lot of times you can't do this because the drill will hit that thing, but this is far enough back where I can do it. And because I know it's a double stud, I can come out here and hit another one. And then hit the one right below. Now I'm just going through the tile and hitting the wood. I don't want to drill all the way into the wood because then it won't be anything left for the stud. Now on this one, it's going to be kind of hard to hit the stud a second time because I got the first two right down the middle. It's a single stud. I can put one over here and angle it in, which is what I'm going to do, is try to get one into the stud again. I'm just drilling a little bit in, and then I'm going to angle it over a little bit. There, so all three of those should hit the stud. The reason I'm taking them off is I want to put some silicone on the wall behind it. kind of cleaned it off. It's probably better to use a little alcohol or something to make sure there's no soap scum on it and all that, but I didn't do that. So I'm just gonna put some silicone on the holes. Now if I wanted to, I could take a regular wood bit and drill a smaller hole into the stud. But these screws are pretty sharp and I think they'll work fine. I'm not going to run them all the way in quite yet till I get all three of them in. I lied. Those in, this one into the other stud, these two. Now this is the tricky one. Hopefully I can catch the wood, might not be able to. Did a little bit, and make sure I got this top one tight. There's a little dipple where these little raised area is. It's not where the screw is, it's off to the side. There's one here, one there, and one down here. And so you want to move those over to those. And just cram them, push them on. Line them up. I went a little bit of silicone around from about halfway up on both sides. And I've got some that squirted out already on here so I can get this. And same thing here. I'm not doing the bottom because if any water gets in there, it can drip out the bottom. And I'm putting it on pretty thick and kind of messy, but I'm going to wipe it off in a second. This secure, she should feel much more at home in the bathtub.